All right, what's going on, guys? My name is EJ. Gonna tie a couple of Frenchie nymphs for you today. So we're gonna start with, let's see here, 1XL. Oh, you can't see it. 1XL nymph hook from Montana Fly Company. Size 12. So typically, the size 12 hook, I like either a 7/64 or a 1/8 bead, just depending on what you want to go for. Well, actually, I'm going to go with the 1/8. You can use slotted if you want. In my opinion, I don't really think there's any use for the slotted beads. I think you can kind of force them over most things. Now, there's some exceptions to that rule. If you're in size 16 or 18, certainly you may want to use a slotted in that scenario. But for these, I think I just go with the countersunk tungsten beads. I get some 0.15 diameter lead wire here, and take about 8 wraps of that. Slide it forward. I know a lot of people will use Zap-A-Gap here to kind of keep this in place. I don't really see the need for that either. I'll show you why here in a second. Going to start with some 210 denier green flat wax thread, which is a little heavy for this size hook, but as long as you kind of keep your thread wraps to a minimum, you'll be just fine there. So we're going to go forward, and a lot of people use Zap-A-Gap. Like I said, I don't. I just tend to kind of build a little thread dam there at the back of it, and I'll just flatten my tying thread just a bit. So good. Now, for the tail, I take about 4 or 5 strips of Coque de Leon fibers. Depends on well, it depends on a lot of things. I think that works best for me personally. Just realized I'm out of that fiber I had here on my desk, so probably could have taken care of that before I started the video, but this is my first video here, so it's all right. So I take this, some of this, I'm going to take, like I said, 3-4 fibers, maybe 5 or 6. How about that? Lengthwise, I like it to be about the length of the shank there. So right there is good. I'm going to transfer that measurement over to my other hand and go ahead and wrap that in. You keep that pretty flat there so you don't really splay out. There we go. That's good. Kind of goes straight back there. And then you can come in there and trim off that excess. You can tie it in if you want, but like I've said a couple times now, I want to kind of keep my non-essential thread wraps to a minimum on this fly. So I'm just going to get rid of that there. So there we go. Next I've got some thin gold wire that I'm going to tie in. I like about 3.5 inches here, maybe 3 inches. You don't really waste a lot. And actually, when I'm using these beads, I tend to kind of tuck that in right there on the back side. You can see that. And then just to keep it hidden. So I'll do that. Tuck that in there. Very good. Next, I'm going to take some peacock. You can buy peacock or you can kind of get it yourself. I get it myself. I like probably 7 or 8 of these fibers here. These good ones, and I actually prefer the color of the natural ones as opposed to the store-bought also, but any pheasant will do. Can't remember if I said pheasant or peacock, but I certainly meant pheasant. So next step here is I'm just going to take that and straighten them out and then trim off the very, very tips there. Those tips tend to be a little bit too frail. So, and then keep our thread flat there, and that's going to be fine. Oops, daisies. It's all right. We can tie that back in. We'll be all right. And then I'm going to bring this thread back to just the base of the tail. Now I'm going to come up to the front, kind of grab that piece there that got a little cattywampus, and then I'll make 3, 4, maybe 5 turns, because when I rotate my vise here going forward, that's going to unwrap. So bring this pheasant tail forward, just keeping tension on it. You can use hackle pliers for this, obviously. I tend to not, because a little harder to hold on to multiple pieces at the same time. So right there is good. Another reason I like using this 210, a little thick like I said, but you know, you guys could probably see I did one thread wrap there and it actually locked it all down. So that's good there. I like that. A couple more thread wraps there just to lock everything in. It's not going anywhere. But now for this, it's on the far side, so I can kind of come up and I go opposite of the way that I wrapped in that pheasant tail. And come around, bring this up, and lock that in. Oop. One turn, 2 turns, go 3 turns over. Then I want to twist my bobbin clockwise, get a little more strength here, and then we'll do that. Lock it off in front, and then I can helicopter that wire off. All right, so we're almost done with this one, guys. I'm going to go ahead and take some ice dubbing in an olive color and just really make myself a dubbing noodle here. Get it pretty tight. A lot of people make the mistake of getting it tight in the middle, but they don't get it tight down there at the bottom, so kind of have fibers going all over the place. And I don't know that the fish mind, but for the purposes of making a clean fly, as it were, you want to get that top of your dubbing noodle really tight, and it just makes everything look a little bit cleaner. So right there is 3 extra wraps, and that's fine. And go with the 3-turn whip finish there. And do another one here. Go 3 turns, and there we go. That's it. That's a Frenchie nymph. I'm going to just go ahead and put some UV resin on this guy. I like Lin's UV clear fly finish in the thin. I can really just put barely any on there. Does a really nice job of just holding these nymph heads together as they're bouncing and scraping along the bottom. And, there we go. Give it a couple seconds of UV light. Couple spins there. Good. Make sure it's dry to the touch, which it is. So we're good. That's a fly. Now I want to go right ahead into another one. Same style, but just kind of show you. You'll read a lot of stuff online about thread type and, you know, everything of that nature, but just why you don't really need to worry about that as much. So that was 210 denier, really thick thread. And now I'm going to tie one here, same style, like I said, same hook, size 12, same bead actually as well, a little 1/8 tungsten bead, but this time it'll be in a different color. It won't be ice dubbing, and it'll be with a much different thread. So I'll show you guys that here in 1 second. Let me just get the bead on. So bead is on, hook is secured in the vise, and now for this one we're going to go with the Semperfi Classic Wax 12/0 in purple. So just to kind of show you, there's all kind of variations you can do of this pattern, just like any other. So once again, about 7 or 8 wraps of 0.15 lead wire here. Pinch that off. We're going to go ahead and start our thread a little farther behind this time. You can probably already see the difference in thickness and thread. This being a 12/0, you know, not really like it's going to hold up less well or anything like that. The only thing really is don't really have to watch your thread wraps as much, because, you know, one thread wrap of that 210 is probably equivalent to like 10 thread wraps of this stuff. But it will take you a little bit longer to kind of build up some of these things here. Like you can tell already, it's taking me a lot longer to cover this. So I want to flatten my thread a little bit more so I get more bang for my buck, especially with this thread here, and build up my thread dam behind it so that lead doesn't go anywhere, and we're good. So I'm going to go ahead and take a couple more fibers of our Coq de Leon here, and just like before, we're going to measure it out the same way. I like that. There. Good. Just kind of lock that in. Then you can bring it back. You just keep some constant pressure here, kind of almost pulling towards yourself to make sure that those feathers don't spin towards the back of the shank. You want to make sure they're right down the middle. So that is also the reason why I go all the way to the bend there when I take my thread back the first time, because it just allows for a little less slipping of those feathers when they go on. So once again, I'm going to use the same wire here. I'm going to attach it in the same fashion. I'm going to go onto the back side of the hook. I'm going to slide it into that little tungsten head there. Then I'm going to come forward. And with this, you know, you don't really have to lock this down tremendously. You know, I mean, make sure it's not going to go anywhere, but we're going to be covering this up with a lot of wire wraps here shortly. So don't worry about it. If you can, you know, still see some of that wire like that, it's fine. So we'll keep that there. Going to go back to our pheasant tail here. Same amount, you know, the amount doesn't change. We're going to get probably 7 or 8 little fibers. And we are going to tie that in the same way. So I hope you guys are enjoying the video. Been tying flies for a while now. I figured Might be fun to just kind of upload some videos onto YouTube or Instagram and, you know, see if anybody would like to watch them. And if not, that's okay too. Not going to stop me from tying them. So now as I go back, I want to be really careful with this thin thread of catching that point on the hook, because that is something that will almost certainly snap this really light thread very quickly. So now I'm going to go up here to the front. Same thing I did last time. Bunch of extra wraps here. Now I'm going to hold. And I don't like how that's looking. There we go. It's a little better. Come forward. I might get crucified in the comments for not using hackle pliers. I do have a pair. I have 2 pairs sitting right next to me. And that's why maybe sometimes I think I should use them. But no worries. Don't worry about it. We're fine. Get it all unraveled. And now we're going to just do the same thing again. Sometimes tying flies, if anybody's watching that hasn't done it, it is a very good test of patience at times. Other times you end up doing something correctly on your first try and you almost wish there was somebody else in the room to see you do it. So actually, I'll be honest, I got a little overzealous there because I forgot that I was using this light thread. I shouldn't have let go of that. But it's going to be just fine. So we're going to make a couple wraps in front of this now. It's actually going to make it much cleaner for us to snip away this excess. Also, for anybody getting into it, any scissors will work. You know, you tend to pick up a couple different scissors along the way for wire and whatnot. I actually got those as part of a bonsai set, and I have found that after having a lot of specialty scissors, they still work the best. They're still the thinnest, they're the sharpest, and they do exactly what I need them to without being cumbersome in any way. So it's 12-aught thread. You really can afford to just really load it on there. And so this was a little too long of a piece. That's going to end up being wasted wire, but that's okay. So last time we used an ice dubbing. Just show you guys real quick. You know, you can use a natural dubbing as well. And I just like toying with the colors that you could potentially make with these. So I'm going to go with some natural, well, it's rabbit, but it's dyed purple. Once again, get that really tight up there at the top of your noodle. So you see that? You really want that super, super, super tight. And don't worry if it's farther down. Now, if you're using wax, this would be difficult to do, but you can always you can slide this puppy right up to the top there. Okay? And then you're just going to throw that on. And bring that all the way around. Yep. There we go. Go ahead and take this, whip finish this fly. This will be a fly as well. Once again, I kind of prefer to get a little bit of that thread wrap onto the head. It makes it look a little bit cleaner. Not as much of a gap there, you know, kind of has a nicer shape to it. But, you know, you can trim that piece up there. Trim that piece up there if you want. You can use all kind of colors, all kind of different dubbings and what have you. Just go around here with a little bit of UV resin. There we go. And then we'll cure it real quick, and then we'll be done. Very good. All right, guys, thank you very much for watching. Those are two different variations of the Frenchie nymph. I hope you enjoyed, and have a nice time. If you're tying, or if you're just watching, or if you're planning on fishing soon, good luck to everyone, and yeah, thanks again for watching.